So, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about financial brokers. So, before you might have watched some of our videos and gotten to the point where you think that you want to make your first investment, but unfortunately, it's not one of these things that you can walk to the supermarket and choose a Tesla stock or an Apple stock off the shelf. Every time you want to buy a stock or sell a stock, you need to go through a financial broker. And in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about what a financial broker actually is. So to roll this out, I'm actually going to start from the company's perspective on the very left-hand side of the screen that you can see here. And I'm going to be talking about why does a company actually go to the stock market, right? Why would a company say, you know what, I want my shares to be sold on the stock exchange? So the first reason is that they receive a whole bunch of money. If you go to the stock exchange, you can say, you know what, I want to sell 50,000 shares of my company for this amount of money. If you sell 50,000 shares for 10 bucks, you're looking at $500,000 that you can receive from the stock exchange. But in return, obviously you have to give something up. So there you give up ownership. Because us as investors, if we want to buy a share of a company, we buy a say in the company. We buy a part of its profits, but we also, if we accumulate enough shares, if I want to put $1 million into a company, obviously I should be able to have a say in this. So the way that they do this is a company goes to a stock exchange. The most famous ones in the world are the NASDAQ and the NYSE in the USA. And they say, you know what, here I want to sell my stocks. A company has to pay a certain amount to be listed on the stock exchange. So they obviously, they have to pay for that. And that's how a stock exchange makes money. Stock exchange, you don't only just go to one stock exchange, but if you're a company, you want, just like you want your Coca-Cola to be sold in different supermarkets, you have to have contracts with different supermarkets. So you go to different stock exchanges because that increases the chances that people buy your stock. Now, the stock exchange, we can't just walk into the stock exchange and say, I would like to have one Apple stock, please, because again, that's not how it works. The stock exchanges want only limited access of people to be able to buy and sell stocks from them, because otherwise it would just be a free-for-all. So what they do there is you have the financial brokers, where they are certified, they pay a high registration fee to be able to buy and sell stocks in a specific stock exchange. So the broker, again, pays a registration fee, he pays transaction fees to receive these stocks. Now, the broker, in turn, makes money with us, from us, the end client. Because every time I want to buy or sell a stock, I go to my broker, and the broker does it for me. So essentially, if you want to look at it in a specific way, we don't own any stocks. Our broker owns stocks for us, and he pays us the value of the stock when we sell and when we buy. But in turn, we as end consumers have ownership of the company. So why would you be a broker? The most famous broker, in my opinion, is Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street, or Jordan Belfort. I mean, this is I think if you haven't seen the movie, you have to watch the movie first of all. But not every stockbroker makes $49 million by the time they're 26, unfortunately. Otherwise, I think I would be doing something else. But the brokers make money off of us. I explained that before, but they don't just charge us every single time. They can't just charge us whenever they want. So one of the things that, one of the main areas where they make money is actually by interest income. So this is large amount of, if you have a large amount of shares that you want to buy, and you sell them for a higher price, they charge a little small, they charge a tiny fee off of that high amount that you just made because they're the ones that actually established it. This doesn't really relate to us because we as end consumers don't have high volumes of shares, so it's not really worth them scraping a few pennies off of our shares. But if you're investing $5 million, it's a different story. And this amounts actually for 60% of the average broker's income. So that means that they make a lot of money from the people that invest a lot of money. But if you look at something called the order flow, which brokers make less than 10% of, is if you say you want to buy an Apple stock for $100, but the broker can find you a stock for $99.50, he's going to keep those 50 cents. You are none the wiser because you said, I want to buy the stock for $100. They found you a better deal, and they're just keeping that little tiny sliver of money. Again, this might not seem like a lot if you're just thinking of $100, but think of $1 million. You're looking at $50,000 with the same type of price differentiation. So it does actually account for some larger amounts of money. And the last part is commissions. Commissions is every time you buy or every time you sell a stock, you're looking at significant amounts of money. It depends on which broker you're with, but for me, I'm with IG Trading. Every time I buy and sell a stock, I have to pay $5. These $5 relate either to, so every time I buy, I pay $5, and every time I sell, I pay $5. So every time, if I have a perfect investment where I buy and sell only once, it will still cost me $10. So that means if I would buy 100 and sell at 100, I lost money. And that's how they make commissions, because a lot of people, they trade they buy and sell stocks a whole bunch of times, and every time a broker can put some money in their pocket. So why is this relevant for us? We as lead pass investors are looking at long-term investing. So in the best case scenario, we get into a stock once and we exit it once. And in my case, that will be $10. But what do we want? Ideally, you don't want to pay $10. You don't want to pay for anything. And also, if you make any money, you don't want to pay for the interest rates, or you don't want to give any of your profit away. Because we're such low profile investors, and this isn't anything targeting you as an individual, but unless you're investing a whole bunch of money, it doesn't really make a difference. So you don't want to pay for anything, because essentially what you want to say to the stockbroker is something like Jordan Belfort would say along these lines. So how does it work? If you watch one of our presentations and you say, you know what, I want to make a lead pass investment, or I want to make any other type of investment, you have to open up your brokerage account. That's a lengthy process. Sometimes they ask you for ID pictures because it is a form of income, and you have to prove that you are who you actually are. Once you have your brokerage account open, you have to transfer money into it. This sometimes takes up to a week, so it kind of works like a bank account because you have your money in there. You give your money to your broker. The broker then, when you decide to select the stock and buy it, you send the order to your broker, and your broker will find the best possible deal, because a broker, similar to a company, doesn't just have deals with one stock exchange, but with multiple ones. So he then finds your best stock. When you then decide to sell it, again, you send out an order to your broker. He sells the stock for you, and the money then returns to your brokerage account. If you want, after that, you can pay yourself out, which is a process that takes about 3 to 4 days for the money to settle into your account. So you have the money available to you within that time frame. And that's the entire process of investing from a technical perspective. Now, I went and Googled some of the most common brokers that fulfill our criteria. Unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of things that you have to consider with this. You can look at the criteria that I listed here yourself. But one of the things that we realized, for example, Trading 212, is that trading 212, they don't have all the stocks that you're looking for. eToro has a whole bunch of stocks that you can trade, but you have to pay a $5 withdrawal fee. IG Tradings, they charge you every time you trade. So the most important thing here is that you do your own research and you find out what is the most important thing to you and tailor your selection of the broker towards what you want to do. And that's pretty much it. Our message here is to explain the process of investing and what you have to do. But the most important thing is that you understand your own actions. You have to know why your broker is charging you. This is the way that maybe you learn something about how they actually make money, but you have to understand why a broker that you choose is the best for you. Does anyone have any questions?